What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my NASCAR cheat sheet video for the Superstart Batteries 400. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another NASCAR video. This time we are breaking down the Superstart 400 at Kansas, another 1.5 mile track. 267 laps, so we're going to need, 1 to 2 Dominator builds here. Maybe you can get away with 3, but most of my lineups are going to consist probably with 2 Dominators here. I can see Harvick probably dominating a lot of this race, but of course there's probably going to be somebody else that gets some laps in as well. So mostly 2 Dominators for me this race, but you can definitely do a build with just 1 Dominator, preferably Harvick, or you can do a build with maybe 3 Dominators as well. But mostly 2 for me. Coming off of a very good week last week, had a ton of Austin Dillon. One of my core plays, was not expecting him to win the race whatsoever, but I'll definitely take it. Had him in cash, had him in single, and like I said, I had him in a ton of GPP lineups as well. So also had a ton of Tyler Reddick. He finished second as well. So pretty good week last week. Hopefully we keep the momentum rolling into this week on a Thursday night at Kansas. Really looking forward to this race. DraftKings did very good with the pricing. I think it's the best they've probably ever done. We've got Christopher Bell, not 12K. That's always a good sign. We have Eric Jones, not 6K. That's always a great sign there. And just, they priced up the guys that have been doing well. And, you can't really complain with that. And other than that, I like the pricing this week. I think there's going to be more strategy involved. There's not much value as there usually is, so I think the lineup construction is going to be a little bit tougher, and that's definitely something I like because it's been a lot of chalk the past couple of weeks with this very soft, weird pricing lately, so hopefully there's not going to be as much ties as there has been, and hopefully we make some money this week. So before we get started into the driver-by-driver breakdown, if you guys can leave a like, also subscribe if you haven't yet, would really appreciate that a ton. But with that said, let's get into the driver-by-driver breakdown, and we will start with the man himself, Kevin Harvick. Harvick has been doing great things this year. He's doing what I absolutely thought Kyle Busch would be doing this year. Looking at his current form, average finish at 3.83 in his last 6 races, 2 wins, 5 top 5s, average driver rating of 112.3, which is the best on the slate. Even his track history here at Kansas, average finish of 7.67. 306 laps led, which is the best on the slate, and an average driver rating of 118.7, again the best on the slate. And of course, career history, 3 wins, 855 laps led in his career, which is the best on the slate as well. So, everything is lining up for Kevin Harvick to be an amazing play this week, starting on the pole, starting first. Don't really see him giving up that early lead to Joey Logano or Eric Almirola. I'd be very surprised if he did. I think Kevin Harvick is going to be probably one of my highest owned plays. Don't see Harvick starting on the pole too much, especially this year. So I do think that, you definitely got to take advantage and play a ton of them here. So I love Kevin Harvick this week. Obviously my favorite play up here by far. And just getting to the key, I forgot to mention that. Core play is in green as always. GPP is in yellow, fade is in red, and punt is in orange. So Harvick is one of my core plays, and he's one of my very high exposure plays this week. And I'd be very surprised if he did not have success at this track here. So give me a ton of Kevin Harvick this week. Next, we got Chase Elliott, 11,000. I think is a fine play. There is some place differential there, starting 11th. He's been very good at these 1.5 mile tracks. Looking at his track history in his career, average finish of 8.67 in his last 6 races here. 4 top 5s. He does have a win here as well with 93 laps led. Driver rating of 100.6. I think is a fine play. Obviously, I'd rather play Harvick. I'm not sure if you can play both Harvick and Ellie in the same lineup. I think it would be pretty tough, especially since we'll get into it in a second, but there isn't a ton of value. There's some guys down there I'll definitely play, but there isn't, guys that really stick out there. And the mid-range is definitely stacked. We'll get to that in a second, but I could see Elliott, finishing in the top 5 for sure, but would it be enough to get on the optimal lineup if he doesn't lead laps? Probably not at 11,000. So do I think he dominates? I think it's possible, but I am going to lean on Harvick a ton more, but you really can't fade Chase Elliott here or anything. He's good here. He's been good at pretty much a lot this year. He's been struggling as of late. I want to say he's an average finish of 18. Yeah, average finish of 18 in his last 6 races. So struggling as of late, but he does have that place differential upside there, and I don't see him finishing worse than where he's starting. And I think there is some dominator potential in him, so I don't hate Elliott at 11,000. Martin Truex Jr., 10,600. The price is pretty decent there for someone who's been very dominant at this 1.5 mile tracks and this track itself. Average finish of 5.67 in his last 6 races, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 241 laps led. Like, I think Truex is a very good play here, starting 5th. I can definitely see Harvick and Truex leading laps. Starting 5th, the price is fine. I don't know if you're going to be able to get them in the line in the same lineup very easily, but I do think it's going to be possible because there is a lot of guys in the 7K range that are playable, and there are some guys I'm looking for, down low, so I think it's possible. But, it's going to be a little bit tough, but it's really hard to ignore how good Truex has been at these 1.5-mile tracks. Average finish of 7.1 in 45 races, which is the best on the slate, with 10 wins in 45 races. Current form, Truex average finish of 18 in his last 6 races as well. But yeah, I like Truex quite a bit at 10,600. Probably my second favorite play up here, right behind Harvick. I do think there's a pretty good chance that he does get up there and dominate laps at some point of this race. He's just fantastic here. So far, Harvick and Truex for me. I don't mind Elliott at all as well. Hamlin's probably someone I'm not going to have too much of, especially considering I love, Harvick a ton. I love Truex a ton. Hamlin average finish of 10.67 in his last 6 races here. Does have a win. He is good at these 1.5-mile tracks. Average finish at 12.5 in his last 45 races with 5 wins. 744 laps led as well. Looking at his current form here, average finish of 11.17 with a win. Driver rating of 107.7. I don't hate Hamlin. I do think there is some place differential, but I really like Truex and Harvick a lot more. I'm not going to completely fade Hamlin. I'll have some of them, but I do like the plays above him a little bit more. So Ryan Blaney, someone who's been very, very good this year. Starting 4th, so there's not going to be much place differential upside. We're not really going to look at the track type history because he has been on an absolute tear this season. Looking at the current form here, Ryan Blaney average finish at 13.3 with 1 win, 1 top 5, 252 laps led, which is the most laps led in those last 6 races. So I would not be surprised at all if he did get up here and lead some laps. He's been absolutely fantastic this year. He has been priced up a little bit. 9,900. I missed the days when he was like 8,100, 8,000. But he is priced up, so I do like him. I'll have a decent amount of him, but I do like the Harvick and Truex a little bit more. But would not be surprised at all if if Blaney got out there and dominated this race. So Kyle Busch, someone who I faded 100% last week, and it definitely worked out. I mean, he was up there in first for a second, but he did not hold that. Just someone who has been very disappointing this year. He does need that practice back, and I think they just announced that there's going to be no more practice for the rest of the year, so I'm probably not going to be playing much Kyle Busch. I think he's been on the winning lineup maybe once this year. I just don't see much reason to play him unless they really price him down. Then I'll take a look, but I'm not interested in Kyle Busch. Of course, he's good here, 3 top 5s in his last 6 races, but just has not been good this year whatsoever. So Brad Keselowski, this price is intriguing at 9,500. I will have some because he is Brad Keselowski. You wouldn't be surprised at all if he got up there and dominated. Average finish of 9.17. Looking at the track type history in the last 2 years here, Keselowski average finish of 10.8 with 6 wins. 6 wins is the 3rd best on the slate. 731 laps led as well. And we'll take a look at the current form as well. Brad Keselowski, average finish of 10.17. Only 1 top 5 in the last 6 races. I don't love it, but I will have some of them because, like I said, he's Brad Keselowski. He's someone who's capable of dominating laps, and he is very cheap. So I will have some Keselowski, but I do like the plays around him a ton more, like Harvick, Truex, Blaney, guys below him as well. But he is probably a potential dominator. So Joey Logano starting 2nd. I don't really like him here starting 2nd. I mean, he's going against Harvick starting 1st. I don't really see Harvick giving up that lead, but just in case he does, I'll have some Logano. Just don't really see that happening. Logano does not have the best track history here with an average finish of 16.83. 1 top 5 in 6 races as well. The price is intriguing, but I really do think Harvick's going to lead a majority of that first stage, and I only really see Joey Logano falling back and finishing worse than where he's starting, so probably not going to have much Logano. Eric Jones, they finally priced him up to where he belongs. I know he hasn't had the best luck of this season, but when he's not wrecking, he's doing very good, and this is a track he's very good at. Average finish at 13 in his last 6 races here with 2 top 5s. He did wreck before as well, so he's pretty good here. So starting 21st, there's going to be place differential upside. I think there's top 10 upside for sure. He has 4 top 10s in 6 races, and one of those races, like I said, he did crash. So 9,000. I do think there's some merit for playing Erik Jones for sure, especially if he gets that top 10, maybe top 5. I do think he could possibly get in that winning lineup. Jimmy Johnson starting 20th. Same thing here. I think there's place differential upside. Average finish of 15.33 in his last 6 races. Jimmy's been looking very good lately, just hasn't had the best luck. Average finish of 18.1 in his last 5 races there. If he can have a clean race, I do think he can finish in that top 10 for sure. He's been very good at these 1.5 mile tracks this year as well. So I like both these guys for some place differential there. I wish they were priced down a little bit, but you really can't complain with these prices. All right, Aric Almirola starting 3rd, and this guy has been someone who is, he's been doing amazing. He's been doing absolutely fantastic. Average finish of 5.3 in his last 6 races with 4 top 5. So it's really hard to kind of fade him here, but he is 8,700, a big price up for Aric Almirola, and he's starting 3rd. I really don't see him passing Harvick. I really don't see him, dominating laps, but it's really hard to count him out. I'm going to have probably very little Almirola. Probably going to be underweight to the field because I know he's probably going to be a little bit popular for how good he's been, but he's just starting 3rd. I don't see much upside there, especially with so many amazing place differential plays around him. It's really hard to play Aric Almirola. If you want to get a little bit different and play Almirola instead of guys like Jones, Johnson, Reddick, Bell, you could do that, but I just don't really see a reason for playing too much Almirola this week unless he gets out there and dominates, which I think it's going to be really hard to pass Kevin Harvick here. Alex Bowman starting 6th, 8,500. The price is intriguing, but just the plays around him are so much better than Bowman. We'll take a look at his current form here. He's not bad at the track, but average finish of 20.33 in his last 6 races. So just hasn't been doing too well as of late. No top 5s in his last 6 races, and he is starting up a little bit too close for me. So probably going to have very little Alex Bowman. Tyler Reddick, someone who I loved last week, and he ended up finishing 2nd. He's been very good at these 1.5 mile tracks. We'll take a look at it in a second, but he did race here before. He finished 9th at the track type history last 2 years. 10 races for Reddick, average finish of 10, and he is starting at 23rd. So I think a top 10 is a decent chance of happening here. So I do like Reddick quite a bit. One of my core plays at 8,300. He's been pretty good. Average finish of 17.5 in his last 6 races, with 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s there. So I think he only moves up. I think there's a lot of place differential upside, and I like that price. So Christopher Bell, it's weird seeing him down here in the 8,000 range. I mean, we're used to seeing him up in that high 11,000s, 11,000 range, 10,000 range, but now we got him at a normal price, which we're able to play him a decent amount here. Starting 22nd, I'd rather honestly play Reddick, but Bell's a fine play at 8,100 as well. We'll take a look at the track type history here. Christopher Bell average finish of 16.9 and 9 races at these 1.5 mile tracks. He does have 3 top 10s and 9 races as well. Looking at the current form here, Christopher Bell average finish of 18.67 in his last 6 races. I do think there's place differential upside. I just think the better play here is Reddick, but you can play Bell for sure. At 8,100, he's definitely in play. So Kurt Busch, if you want to get off of some chalk of the Reddick, of the Bell, you can play Kurt Busch, and I think is a good play this week. He has 2 top 5s in his last 6 races, average finish of 9.67 in his last 6 races here as well. Looking at his current form, Kurt Busch starting average starting position of 4.8. So he's been starting up pretty close, but now he's starting 9th. So there is going to be probably some place differential there if he can get a top 5. Average finish of 11, which is not bad for his price. He does have 1 top 5 in his last 6 races, 3 top 10s. Don't really see him finishing outside the top 10 here. Maybe he finishes between 5 to 8 around that range, and that could be enough to get in the optimal lineup, especially at this price. He's very, very cheap for a guy who is probably going to finish in the top 10. I mean, he's finished in the top 10 4 out of 6 races here in the last 3 years. I don't really see why that couldn't happen here. His best finish was 2nd as well. So I do think there's some upside with Kurt Busch. I don't see him dominating any laps or anything, but we really don't need that at 8,000. So William Byron, he is starting 15th. Pretty poor track history here. We'll take a look at the track type history, the 1.5 mile tracks here. William Byron, average finish of 20.9, not overly impressive there. And then the current form, William Byron at 17.83 in his last 6 races. So not too interested in William Byron here. I love the plays above him. I love the plays below him. And this range is absolutely stacked. William Byron and probably MBD will be one of the lowest owned plays down in this range, which I like this range a lot. I'm probably going to have a lot of lineup builds with a couple guys in this range, maybe a punt play and then 2 guys up top, or it's probably how I'm going to build a lot of my lines. And don't really like Byron this week that much. So MBD starting 12th. We're not even going to look at the track type history since he is in that new equipment. MBD average finish of 14 in his last 6 races. He does have a top 5, 2 top 10s. I think is going to be low owned, and we have seen him up there running in the top 10, and pretty much a lot of the season. But just some bad luck at times. But I do think he's a good play if he can stay out of trouble. I think he was up in that top 10. Top 5 actually last race, and something happened. Maybe had some trouble with his car, or had to pit, or got a penalty. Something happened last race, but he was looking very good last race, and I didn't have much of him last race, so I was kind of upset about it. And then he ended up finishing I think like 18th, 17th, something like that. So, but I do think he is a pretty good play here. Like just to get away from some of that chalk. Like nobody really played him last week. I think it was like 9% last week. So yeah, I think if you want to get off some chalk, MBD is a fine play, and he is very cheap, and I do think there's some top 10 upside. So Clint Bowyer, another core play of mine, 7,500. Don't really get the price. I think it should be priced up probably like 1,000 more. Average finish of 11.5 in his last 6 races for Clint Bowyer. So the track history is there. Looking at the current form, average finish of 13.5 in his last 6 races. He is 19th. I just don't get that pricing. He's one of my core plays. Looks like I'm going to have him in cash, have him in a lot of GPPs, probably single as well. Everything's just checking the boxes for Clint Bowyer this week, and I love that price a ton. So Cole Custer, starting 24th. They priced him up a little bit, so don't know how much I'm going to have of him because I do like Bowyer a little bit more. Dillon's a decent play. We'll get to it in a second. Stenhouse is a decent play, but Custer, 7,300. I don't hate it. Looking at his current form, average finish of 16.7 in his last 6 races with a win, of course. We all remember that win with 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, driver rating of 77. Looking at the track type history for Cole Custer, average finish of 20.8. And he does have a win at one of those 1.5 mile tracks as well. So I don't hate it starting 24th. I just wish he was priced down a little bit lower. And I'd much rather play Clint Bowyer. But there is some upside with Cole Custer at 7,300. So Austin Dillon, 7,000. Someone who, won the race last week, which was awesome. Someone who's been good all year as long as he's not wrecking. It seems like he's doing very good. Starting 16th, I think that'll probably draw off some ownership, but of course I think there's going to be some ownership because he just did win that race. But he's starting 16th. Average finish of 15.83 in his last 6 races here with 6 top 20s, no top 10s in his last 6 races here as well. Looking at the track type history, Austin Dillon, average finish of 16.1. And looking at the current form here, Austin Dillon, average finish of 17.3 with where he did not finish a race in there as well. So I don't love it. Starting 16th, I obviously don't see him winning the race or anything like that, but maybe he squeaks out of top 10. He's just been very good at these 1.5 mile tracks this year, and pretty much good this year overall as long as he's not wrecking. So I don't hate it, but just I'd rather play Bowyer. But yeah, I think he's a fine play. I think he'll probably be lowish owned. I just don't know because since he did win that race, maybe people will play him, but I think he's a fine play nonetheless. So Ricky Stenhouse starting 25th. It seems like I haven't played Ricky Stenhouse in, probably a little bit over a month. He's been starting so close up. He's been starting like in the 15th to like 20th range. Just haven't been able to play him lately, but probably going to go back to him here. Starting 25th. Average finish of 16.3 in his last 6 races with 5 top 20s in his last 6 races. 7,000. I only see him moving up. We'll take a look at his current form. Seems like Stenhouse has been very quiet the past couple of races. Haven't really heard much from him. Average finish of 22.83 in his last 6 races. So yeah, hasn't been doing much. But I do think he's in play with that place differential at that price. Matt Kenseth, 6,900. I mean, he's priced low, and he does have the equipment to do well. But I think he only has like 1 or 2 top 10s since he did take over for Kyle Larson. So don't really love it this week, starting 14th. Probably not much place differential. Probably not going to get a top 10. But if you want a low-owned play, Kenseth is always someone you can attack because he is in that good equipment there. But other than that, just has not had success in his career at this track as well. So yeah, don't really love Kenseth this week. But if you want to get very different and play him, you can. Jon Hunter starting 30th. I mean, I like that he's starting 30th. I think he can probably finish around the 20th range, but the price is just crazy here, 6,800. So don't think there's too much upside here, and the price is just too expensive. So probably not much name check for me. Ryan Newman starting 18th. Average finish at 30.17 in his last 6 races here, with 4 did not finishes. His best finish being 15th. Take a look at the current form here for Ryan Newman. Average finish at 20.17 in his last 6 races. Probably not much Newman for me. I do like some guys below him quite a bit more. I mean, the price is very intriguing for Newman, but just don't really see it this week. Dillon starting 36, 6,500. Obviously, I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but starting 36, he does have 2 top 20s. His best finish being 14th. He did not finish where he did finish 38th before. So I like it. I like it quite a bit. It's just I wish he was priced a little bit lower, so I don't know how much I'm going to have because I think the upside is a little bit limited. But starting 36th, you can't really complain if he does get a top 20. I think that could possibly be enough to get in the winning lineup, and he has done it twice in his past 6 races here. So we'll take a look at the track type history for Dillon as well. Average finish at 23. I mean, if he finishes like in the 20 to 25th range, it's not going to kill you, but just don't know if it's going to be enough to get in the winning lineup this week. Current form, average finish at 21. Like if you finish 21st, I think it'd be pretty good for this week. But I do like him in cash quite a bit because I do think it's very safe. But as for GPPs, probably have a decent amount, but I do think the upside is kind of limited there. Bubba Wallace, I like that he's 6,300, just starting 17th. Not much, not the best track history at all. Average finish at 28.25. Looking at the current form as well. Average finish of 17.67, so I can see him finishing like around the 20th range, and honestly probably rather play Dillon or definitely play the guy below him, Michael Mcdowell, who has been fantastic this year. So Mcdowell, he has 6,200. Really can't complain with the price. He's starting 27th. We'll take a look at McDowell's current form here. Average finish of 18.67 with 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s in his last 6 races. So he's been doing absolutely fantastic. He is starting 27th. There's going to be place differential, and honestly wouldn't be surprised at all if he does get another top 20 here. So yeah, give me some McDowell, and he does have 3 top 20s in his last 6 races, and it seems like this year he's just been very, very good compared to other years. So yeah, I do like McDowell quite a bit at that price. Like him in cash, one of my core plays. Daniel Suarez, they're finally kind of figuring it out that we're not going to play Suarez when he's priced at like 8,000, 7,000. So I do think he's kind of in play this week. I think the upside is very limited. I don't think he's going to take down a GPP for anybody. I can see him finishing maybe at the best case scenario like 26th, 27th. He's not in a good car. He's not in good equipment this year. Starting 37th, probably finishes around that range. He's fine for cash, but other than that, probably not going to have too much of him in GPPs. I do think he's going to be like a little bit more popular than he should as well this week because he is starting 37th, and he does have the name Daniel Suarez. A lot of people know who he is, and he is cheap as well. So I do think he'll gain some ownership there, but I'm not going to be playing as much Suarez as other people probably. Chris Buescher starting 13th, pretty decent here. Average finish is 16.7, and really at this price 5,900, all we need is him to finish like 15th, and I think that could be enough to get in the optimal lineup there. He does have 2 top 10s here as well in the last 6 races, his best finish being 6th. I mean, if he finished 6th, obviously he's going to be in the optimal lineup. I will have some of him. He was racing pretty good last week, and he was very low owned as well. And I believe he wrecked or something, but he's been doing pretty decent. Average finish of 20.3 in his last 6 races with 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s. So 5,900, it's worth a shot. Not something I'm going to really go out of my way to put in a ton of lineups, but I will have some shares of Chris Buescher. Ryan Preece starting 35th. I like this for cash. Average finish of 18.5 in his last 2 races here. Take a look at the current form. Average finish of 23.83. So I do think there's going to be some decent place differential here with Ryan Preece. My bad, I read that wrong. Average finish of 29.67 in his last 6 races, and he did not finish 3 of those races. So hasn't had the best luck it seems like he's been crashing out the past couple races. So hopefully he has a clean race here, because I do like him quite a bit. Starting 35th, it's hard to ignore the place differential upside if you can have a clean race there. His best finish here was 12th. So starting 35th, 5,800, you really can't complain about that whatsoever. I like him in cash. I like him in GPPs as well. And other than that, nothing really down here that I like to play. Probably going to fade this whole range. LaJoy maybe, but I'd rather play Busch or Priest, even Suarez over LaJoy this week. So other than that, that's about all I got for you guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Also subscribe if you haven't yet. Really excited to get back into it and win some money on a Thursday night as well. But yeah, make sure you guys subscribe. Really appreciate anybody who subscribes, anybody who has stuck with me throughout the last year and a half, 2 years that I've been doing this. And I'm only going to keep growing from here and keep hopefully getting my channel better. We have football coming up late next month. Of course, MMA, PGA going on right now as well. So make sure you guys check out my other content as well. And other than that, good luck to everybody, and let's win some money this week at Kansas.